So for this week on Sacred Sunday Serving, I wanted to do a video on why we hate. With everything going on in our current events, with things going on in my life, my world, my 22 years, almost 23 years of living, I was very curious about why we hate and what is this emotion and where does it stem from and what can we do about it. So I researched a little bit on Psychology Today and I found that there were about 5 major reasons and I want to share them with you all. So the first one is kind of, we've all heard it, we fear things that are different from us. So that may land for you in a certain way. For me, it's kind of, I fear people who are cold. I fear people who are closed off. I fear people who are judgmental, right? And that's just a personal thing. And it's not saying that that's good or bad or that those your ways of being are good or bad. And it's not like a fear of spiders. It's almost just like a fear of like taking a step back, like having to protect myself almost, or like take a breath, take a moment. And going into number 2 for the reasons why we hate, the things that people hate about others sometimes are the things they fear within themselves. So for example, for me, before I had my heart open and before I believed in love and before I found my boyfriend, I was cold, closed off, and judgmental. It was cold. I felt like I was the nicest girl you could meet until you started to have feelings for me. I was closed off. My heart was not open. And I was judgmental to anyone who tried to open my heart. So for me, those 2 things make total sense. And now I fear those people because I'm afraid that that's going to come back somehow in my life, of how I used to be is going to make its presence again. So it's kind of like, I'm not bad, you are. It's like projection. So that's kind of interesting. And then the last 3 are big ones. So number 3, lack of self-compassion. Now, in my life, I find if I am not okay mentally, I'm not loving myself, I'm not having like a self-love kind of day, I am less likely to respond with compassion. With things that other people do, I take personal. So if I'm not having a good day and someone yells at me, I take it personal. I'm unable to respond with compassion. If I'm having a self-love kind of day and I do yoga in the morning and I have some tea or I breathe or I have a nice relaxing drive and someone yells, I have compassion in my heart, so I'm able to share that with others. Kind of interesting. So if I am able to have hatred in my heart, to hold it in there, then there must be something not lining up. Because if I truly loved myself in that moment, I would realize that hatred is too heavy of a burden to bear. And I'll go into a minute, not if hate is good or bad, but what is it? What can we do about it? So self-compassion is a huge one, huge one. Number 4, it fills a void. So there's this quote, and I love it. I'm going to read it. Acts of hate are attempts to distract oneself from feelings such as helplessness, such as powerlessness, injustice, inadequacy, and shame. So it's so much easier when those emotions come up to distract them with hate. It's so much easier to hate than to feel that power of powerlessness, to feel that power of shame, to feel that power of just not being able to do anything, whatever it may be, of being not enough. It's so much easier to hate. And specifically when it comes to being in a group, which we may have seen, When it comes to being in a group, it's some form of connection. It brings some form of connection. Rather than being vulnerable, you can connect through hate. And that's what we need to work on. And then lastly, number 5, cultural factors. So these are factors from society, from your psychological makeup, from politics, from your family, from whatever it may be, right? Like on TV, through our world, through our media, you may see that we're taught to hate the enemy. That leaves little room for vulnerability. That leaves little room for being connected. That leaves little room for us to realize, we're human, whatever it may be. Like my point is that hatred has to be learned, okay? Whether if it's in the home, in the school, in the community, on the streets, like whatever it may be, hatred has to be learned. We have the same capacity for aggression as we do for compassion, okay? So it's just a matter of what we do, what we take in, and how we project that to the world. So to overcome hate, we must be educated. We must connect. We must be vulnerable, right? So it's not that hatred or anger is bad, right? Because if something makes you angry, it's almost like, okay, that's that point of what I won't stand for. Now, how do I react to that? So not all feelings have to be acted upon right away, or they can be acted upon in a healthy and non-destructive way. So what can you do? A, you don't have to act upon that feeling of hatred, of anger, of aggression. You sit with it and do something what's called a metta meditation, a loving kindness meditation, right? So it has to deal with you saying something along the lines, there's different versions. If you Google loving kindness meditation, you say, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be loved. Then you say that for someone you love. May you be safe, may you be happy, may you be loved. And the tricky part, you say it for someone that you dislike. And I mean, like, don't pick someone that you're like just a little ticked off at. You pick someone who you like strongly dislike. And you say, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you be loved. And then you say, may all beings be happy, be safe, and be loved. And that's if you're having that, and you just need to sit with that hate rather than ignore it, rather than repress it, and or act upon, right? Just sit with it and feel it. And then the second thing, there's totally like healthy ways to deal with it, right? Maybe take a breath, maybe take a walk, maybe have a conversation, a really difficult conversation with someone. Something that you need to do to not carry that burden around with you. So that's kind of what I had to share with you. I wanted to keep it under 8 minutes, went a little bit over, but I think that it's really interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts on why you think we hate. Because we all know what the world needs now is love. So please share your thoughts, really think about this, really try to spread the love to yourself and to others in the world, and have a beautiful, lovely week ahead. And thank you for watching this.